Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insight and advice from the best instructors featured on the Golf Smarter podcast. Great golf instruction never gets old. Our interview library features hundreds of hours of game improvement conversations like this that are no longer available in any podcast app.
The state of women's golf, there's a lot of opportunity for it to grow. And I personally feel that any working woman out there needs to have golf as part of her resume. If you're looking to hire somebody, and I've heard this over and over again, you quickly review someone's resume, golf sticks out. And people say, oh, you're a golfer. What does that mean to you? Because when you think of the qualities and the characteristics and the integrity to be a golfer that it espouses, it really sets you apart because you have to follow rules. There is history. There's some tradition. You can be a good golfer, skill-wise, or not so good, but it does say something additional about you.
With another interview from the archives of Golf Smarter, here's your host, Fred Green.
Frequently, I receive emails from female listeners asking that I provide more content on women's golf. And hopefully the information that I provide that includes tips and drills, mental game, fitness, these are all applicable to women as well as to men. So this time I was hoping to provide a different perspective that is unique for women, but of great interest to all golfers, especially after our recent conversation with course architect Chuck Ermish and his comment that the future of golf course development will be towards women and seniors. Found that absolutely fascinating, and I wanted to pursue this even more. Our guest today is Pam Swenson, CEO of the Executive Women's Golf Association, the EWGA. Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Pam.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm delighted to be with you.
Can you please start with EWGA? What is your mission statement, I guess you would put it? What is the purpose of your organization?
Well, it's a great purpose. It's all about connecting women to learn, play, and enjoy the game of golf for business and for fun. I emphasize fun.
And I'm glad that you emphasize business. We're not just talking about retired women or, stay-at-home moms type of thing who, during the day when the kids are at school, get a chance to go out 9. I like the business element of it.
Well, when we got started nearly 20 years ago, it really was for business purposes. It was a group of women, 28 of them, that got together actually in Florida for a little golf clinic. And many of the women then didn't know how to play or how they could use it as a relationship building tool or to add to their business portfolio. And it was something, that you're an avid golfer and, men have been playing golf for years and years and years. And it's great because you get to meet so many people and you never know what doors are going to open up to you when you play a round of golf with people.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, we have a local nine-hole course right near me that I like to play because who's got the time to play 18 all the time, right? And the last 2 times I've played, I've met the most fascinating women, one of which now that I'm going to be doing some work for, and the other one was actually the chief of staff of the governor of California.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're like 2 hours from Sacramento for where I live, hour and a half. And she goes, oh yeah, I commute every day. There's no way I could live in Sacramento, and I just need to get away from that. But she was absolutely fascinating and just a powerhouse.
And, when you think about it, when you go out and play 9 holes or 18 holes of golf and you've got people that you've never played with before, perhaps it's a local community charity event, people that you're paired with, you learn a great deal about them. Wouldn't you agree, whether it's 2 hours or 4 hours that you're spending with them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So then you've got to decide, if I really like this person, or is this somebody that I would like to do business with, how they behave and react to different things that happen to them during that round, really give you some inner insight on that person, and if you would like to be part of their network as well. And that's really the premise of how EWGA got started. It was using golf as a business building tool. Play out there with different people, know the skills, know the etiquette, so then you can be viewed as someone that people might want to do business with you.
Absolutely. So how is business? How are things for the EWGA?
Well, I'm happy to say that we are 19 years young. which is great. We've had over 100,000 women that have kind of come through the doorways of EWGA.
Wow.
And we currently have 124 outlets, we call them chapters, across the United States where women can join and get involved in whether they want to learn the game in a non-threatening, fun environment, or increase their golf skills, or just network with other women and feel that bonding, or compete. We have a variety of programs. So business is good.
Excellent. And what is the specific demographic? I'm sure that you can narrow it down and describe the typical woman who's a member.
Well,
I know it's probably a wide range, of course.
It is, but our membership in age really is from like 35 to 55. We have some women that joined 19 years ago that are now, retired and are still actively involved. It's a volunteer-based organization. So all of our chapters across the U.S. are run by women who are either working full-time or have a passion to share their ability to play the game with others. So we set up events truly around each chapter's interest level of their population that they serve.
And what kind of interest levels? What do you mean by that?
Well, for some, let's say you're in San Diego and you want to play after work. There could be play dates set up at, courses around so that you could just pick up a game, 9 holes. Wine and nines are very popular. Our women always like to have the social aspect of the game following around. So you get, to spend a little time in getting to know other people that have participated in the event. Or maybe perhaps you want to work on your short game and you want to participate in a golf education program that's being offered at the local level. Or you may want to bring a client and participate in a charity event, let's say that's being hosted by the local chapter. I'm
sure there's a lot of the charity work that gets done around the golf programs.
Well, yes, we're very proud of that. We've aligned ourselves with, on a national scope, with LPGA, USGA Girls Golf, and also Rally for the Cure. And many chapters conduct local breast cancer events to support that effort. We have a scholarship program through our foundation called Women on Par, which is really about paying it forward, giving someone who needs to get a leg up and re-enter the workforce. And the stories that you hear about these women is just so compelling, and you just wish that we could do so much more.
Can you give an example?
We open it up to any woman who wants to re-enter the workforce. It's an application process that starts in January of each year. And you have to be over 30 years old because we want to get people who've kind of left the workforce and have had some sort of situation, and now they want to hone their skills. And, we've had one woman that has been a recipient that had lost her family and was now a single mom and, just really barely had the roof over her head and wanted to go back and get a degree in psychology. So with all the things that she had been through throughout her life, that she could give back to others. And you're just you read these stories and you feel so fortunate from where you are sitting. And you're like, gosh, here this woman doesn't really have a lot and she still wants to give back.
Mm.
And I think if in the game of golf does that so often.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Pam, what is the state of the industry as far as their view? I mean, yes, we know that golf is primarily, I don't want to say primarily, it's dominated by men. The audience in the podcast, we have women, but dominated by men. And I think that if you just watch the advertising on the Golf Channel, you'll see that it's, dominated by male products. But what is the state of women in golf and the way it's being marketed to women?
Well, women comprise less than a quarter of all golfers. And we are about 5.5 million women golfers in this country. And it's always been a moving target because, women typically run households and make the decisions for the family. And many things happen during the course of a woman's life. We see it within our own organization that women join and then they might have a baby and have to leave, or they might come back 4 or 5 years later when, they've got more stability in their lives, or they're caring for an elderly parent. So there's a lot of ebb and flow with women coming in and out of the game of golf. And I think one of the challenges that we have as an industry is there aren't enough female role models out there for women to say, oh, I want to be like her, or I can see why she would take up golf, or this woman runs this corporation and it happens to be a golf company and I admire that, and that's a reason why I might want to support the game of golf or become a fan or even a player.
I'll tell you, what you just said just raises my level of respect on the strength of women. Because women, if they need to quit playing and come back later, they have the power and strength to do that. Where men seem, once they get addicted to this silly game, we cannot let it go. Women get their priorities straight, huh?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm sitting here and I have a membership-based organization, and I'm always looking for ways to grow my membership. Mm-hmm. But we do understand that there is an ebb and flow. And I meet a lot of women. You know, I wish all 100,000 women that we've touched are still members of our organization. But I meet them and they're like, oh my gosh, the EWGA was the best thing for me. I still recommend it. I had to leave because my mom got sick and I needed to take care of her.
Right.
You know, and so the state of women's golf, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for it to grow. And I personally feel that any working woman out there needs to have golf as part of her resume. When you look, if you're looking to hire somebody, and I've heard this over and over again, and you quickly review someone's resume, golf sticks out.
Really?
And people say, oh, you're a golfer. You know, what does that mean to you? Because when you think of the qualities and the characteristics and the integrity to be a golfer that it espouses, it really sets you apart because you have to follow rules. There is history. There's some tradition. You can be a good golfer, skill-wise, or not so good, but it does say something additional about you. Because it's not an easy sport to play.
Right. Right. Well, I would think that with when somebody's resume talks about any sport that they played or participated in, say in college, any woman, it's gonna raise an eyebrow and add a couple more questions to the conversation.
Absolutely. And, you know, I use this story a lot. Paula Zahn, you may remember, she's a female newscaster and was on national news for a long time. And she was a collegiate golfer. Oh. And she actually got her first job in television in Chicago because the person that was doing the interviewing, the head of their network in Chicago, knew she was a golfer and invited her out to play.
Wow.
And, you know, that's a door opener that you really can't put a dollar amount on.
Right.
You know, and I've seen it numerous times, and I talk to a lot of younger women and, you know, who are, you know, just entering the workforce. And I said, I know we're all good at multitasking, but you really need to get golf into that cycle because I believe it is so important.
And what was your path to bring you to being the CEO of the EWGA?
I learned the hard way. I wasn't a golfer initially. You know, when I was growing up, you know, I kind of looked at it as a sport that was for older folks. You know, now I'm kind of working up in that area.
Hey.
I know I have to be careful. But I didn't play, and, you know, and I just didn't really have access to it until I graduated from college and was working for one of the telecommunication companies in New England at the time. Deregulation had hit the phone industry, and we were looking for ways to entertain clients. And my CEO at the time said, Pam, I really want you to look into this, into golf. I'm an avid golfer, and I really think that it's a good relationship building tool and customer entertainment vehicle. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have some homework to do. And I was, you know, in charge of business advertising at the time and had talked to a woman who used to play on the LPGA tour who happened to be doing some consulting in Boston, and she thought she could help me. And I had heard about this group called the Executive Women's Golf Association. So I decided to join that group to see how I could learn how to play, saw the benefits of playing golf, and we started a corporate entertainment program around the golf platform. And that's really what thrust me into the industry and the game of golf. And, you know, it was over, 24 years ago now. And I've just really had nice alliances within the golf industry with the major groups, PGA Tour and the LPGA. Through my work, when I left the telecommunications industry, I became a golf I worked for a Jane Blaylock company in Boston, and we consulted with companies who wanted to use golf as an entertainment vehicle. So I got to work with great companies and really built some wonderful programs around golf, and it just opened up so many career opportunities for me that now, I work in the industry. I sit on industry, committees, and I'm all about and passionate about growing the game.
And is the EWGA a lobbying arm to advocate for women to the USGA?
No, not for the USGA. I mean, we've always been about teaching women how to play and be considerate of others, the speed of play, opening eyes and sharing what women bring to the table. We call it like our power of the purse, like how many rounds of golf we know our women in my organization play a year. We do have incorporated into our business plan an advocacy initiative, and I'm glad that you brought this up because it's all about the experience. And in any business, you want repeat customers, right?
Of course.
So, that's how we survive. So, when you think about the playing experience when one goes to a golf club, what makes it attractive to bring women there? How does the staff treat women? Is it the biggest thing is, are the restrooms clean? Will you come back? How is the course set up so that it's, you can play it based on your own skill level? Are there areas, are there proper markers out there? We want to advocate for making courses female friendly.
Yeah,
so that it's a win-win-win because the golf courses get repeat business. There's less people playing golf than there have been, so we want to invite more people in, and we want to share what makes a nice experience. I don't know if you've ever played at Aviara Golf Club.
No, I have not.
It's unbelievable. Right outside of Carlsbad, and I use them as an experience, not to promote them specifically, but I'll tell you, I took a group of women there a year ago, and what I thought was so interesting is when they greeted us when we arrived, they told us the local rules of the day. We all started our round. There were probably 24 of us playing, and a couple of holes into the round, people always like, oh, we're playing too slow, we need to keep it going, we need to keep moving, looking behind you, we don't want to hold anybody up. And one of the course advisors or marshals came over to us and he said, you ladies are having such a great time. I want to give you a little something. And they handed out lollipops.
Oh.
And you may think that that's really silly, but you know what? It made an impression.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was like, yes, it's really hot out here.
For no investment at all.
Exactly. And I'm like, I've used that when I talk to a lot of golf course operators. I'm like, this is such a simple thing, but it leaves you with such a positive thought and memory.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that's really, we're looking for pleasurable, memorable experiences.
Are you doing anything to advocate for women to golf course owners? I mean, when I ask about a lobbying arm, I'm not sure if that was the right term, but, to golf course architects and to real estate developers. Actually, we did an episode a couple weeks ago with a golf course architect based in Kansas. And when I asked him what is the future of golf course design, he said 9-hole courses because the real estate people are going to be developing for women and seniors.
Yeah.
And so he thinks that the future is more in 9-hole courses because they just, you can't get that much land anymore, and no one can commit to that length of time to play on a regular basis, so they have to do smaller courses with great training facilities.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, Alice Dye, famous, one of the first women of golf, her husband's Pete Dye, the golf course architect, has always lobbied for the great playability and accessibility for women so they can have an enjoyable experience. Jan Belgian worked for Tom Fazio for a number of years and has great feelings on the playability of golf courses. And you mentioned it about time. That is our biggest challenge, particularly as women, with all the things and all the responsibilities we have on our plate. And so I think you're going to see more 9-hole playing opportunities. Maybe you're going to see a pay by the hole so that you only, if you can only play 4 holes, maybe that's something that you're going to see around the corner. I know they're trialing it here in Florida, the PGA Learning Center in Port St. Lucie. Maybe it's a 3-hole round, maybe it's a 4-hole round or a 6-hole round. There's only enough daylight for me if I can get out there and I can feel like I've done something good for myself if I've been able to walk 3 holes of golf, hit the ball, have that magic feeling when you connect on the face of the ball. Even if it's just one shot, you take something very positive away. You feel like, I played golf today. Good for me.
Right.
I think we have to send tradition out the door and say what used to be acceptable is not the new norm anymore. For the industry to prosper, and it's a great industry, it employs over 2 million people. So there are a lot, the economic impact of golf in general across this country is greater than the motion picture industry.
Wow.
So I think when you look at that and the $75 billion that we contribute to the overall U.S. golf economy, it's significant. And, whatever image you have of the golfer, you need to think about the people that are employed because the golfer is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan. I think the idea of a 6-hole golf course, a 6-hole model where you can go out and pay for 6, 12, or 18, so you can play for an hour and a half or 2.5 or 4 hours. I think would be a great way to give people options, but I don't know if they're going to build them so you can have, because everything's built on 9 holes and the coming back to the pro shop or whatever in the middle there, so they would have to rearrange things.
Right, and I think that we've always followed this business model of 18 holes, and when courses were constructed, some of them don't even come back,
right,
after 9. And I think everybody is responding to people's time commitments and how they can integrate the family more into the overall golf experience at facilities and make it more of an outing for all.
Yeah, and what about
really where some of the future is.
What about the family aspect of it? I mean, we're talking about women in business, but what about getting the children, getting kids hooked, getting them interested in golf early and becoming a life sport and becoming a family sport?
Well, the First Tee is doing that very successfully, and it's one of the reasons why we also support LPGA, USGA girls golf. That program's geared to young girls ages 7 through 17 because they are the future. Mm-hmm. And I think if they've got good role models when they are growing up, and whether it's within the family or in activities in their local communities, to get them engaged in a lifelong sport, it's fantastic. That type of program didn't exist when I was growing up. It would have been perfect for me.
Right. And what is your reach globally, or is it primarily focused on the United States?
Well, it's primarily focused on the U.S., but we've had visibility and membership in Canada and the Toronto area for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And we have a group starting outside of Venice, Italy.
Wow.
And I was over in
How much
Ireland.
do you enjoy traveling to Venice?
Well, I haven't been there yet,
you're
but
kidding.
It's on my wish list. No, but
gosh.
I was in Ireland, in Dublin in May, and we are opening up EWGA in Ireland.
Nice.
And it's the perfect time because the Solheim Cup matches in 2011 are being held at Killeen Castle outside of Dublin. And, we want to root for the U.S. team, so we will be bringing women over there to experience that as well.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that in other pockets of the world, you'll have some women golfers, but I would think that as much as golf is dominated by men in the United States, it's got to be even more so in other parts of the world.
I'm really excited about with the LPGA, and they really are a world tour in Asia, and particularly, the women golfers get a lot of recognition. And I think it's just a matter of time when amateur groups, professional women's groups, launch themselves and support this effort worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
The cultures are a little different. We learn as we go, and what really resonates in one, in Europe, in one specific country or another. And, business women are everywhere.
Yes.
And I think the future looks very bright.
Well, I hope so. That sounds good. And what about women instructors, golf instructors? Is that part of your focus to get women to learn from other women, or does that not?
Well, we work very closely with the PGA of America, as well as the LPGA teaching division. And most of our chapters align themselves with several teaching professionals in their area that can offer the educational opportunities that we've developed. So, that is a major focus of ours. And, of course, women supporting women is always a really good thing.
Absolutely. So you're not necessarily looking for women who already play golf. You're trying to introduce women to the sport as well.
Absolutely. We have different elements of playing abilities. We run events based on your ability. We have a mentoring program called Fairway Friends. So if you are a brand new golfer and you join a chapter, you can say, I want to have a mentor. That just kind of helps you, give you the ins and outs, and doesn't really teach you how to play. It's more about all the nuances that kind of go around with it. Am I dressed all right? What are the rules? How do I tip? What do I do when I drive up to a golf club facility and I've got my bag in the trunk of my car? Do I wait for someone to come and get it? Where do I go? How do I check in? All those little things that can be, when you're out there on your own, if no one tells you, you don't really know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to the facilities being really welcoming, so that when they see someone drive up, they're right there saying, oh, my gosh, we're so happy that you're here today. Come on in, check in inside.
Here's a lollipop.
Yeah, it just makes people feel welcome. It's not so hard. I always say, if you're pleasant, and a smile goes a lot longer than being surly and looking the other way.
Yeah, right. As much as we tell our children don't take candy from strangers, here are these women taking candy from guys driving around in golf carts.
It wasn't Halloween, so we didn't have to be totally concerned about that.
As we talked about how, again, the sport is dominated by men and the audience is dominated by men on this show, what can we do as men to introduce our wives, to get our wives more interested in programs like yours?
Well, I think the best thing you can do is invite them to go to a women's event and have them bring a friend. One of the things, I'm sorry if I hurt anyone's feelings, but when we have new golfers come to us and they might have a set of clubs that have been given to them from a relative, or their husband found them at a yard sale or something, or their husband's taking them out to play, it's like, no, that's probably not the best way for you to learn how to play golf. It may impact the relationship you have with your husband. So we don't want that to happen. We want you to have a fun and positive experience. So it's really about women supporting women. And I think, sometimes, with gentlemen, you have your group that you like to play with. You place your bets, you do your thing, and you're like, oh God, I don't really know if I want my girlfriend. This is my time. Well, women need me time too. And joining organized groups and organized play is the top reason why women join our organization. And by that, I mean we make it convenient. It's at a set time, so you know when it starts, you know when it stops, and you know what the expectations are. And it's organized for you.
Mm. Tell me more about the power of the purse. You mentioned that earlier, and I wanted to make sure we covered it. What were you specifically talking about?
Well, I was talking about what women spend, and specifically the EWGA members. And we survey our membership every year, and on average, a member spends over $4,000 a year on golf-related activities, which could be travel, merchandise, lessons, and greens fees. And that's fairly significant because the national average is a lot lower than that. So when we look at a chapter in a local community, let's say Sonoma Marin, and we look at what they contribute overall to the golf economy and the health of that community, it's over $600,000 a year.
Whoa.
And that's a lot of money. So when you're talking about golf clubs and golf courses wanting to be welcoming to women, people need to remember that, everyone can make a choice on how they want to spend their time and if it's going to be a good experience or not. And if it's not a good experience, they probably won't, come back again. And so when you have a piece of the monetary pie like that, when the economy hasn't been as positive as we would like it to be on many, many fronts, it's significant. So you have to take notice and go the extra mile and be overly friendly and welcoming.
Oh, absolutely. What can women do on a local basis to get involved with the EWGA, or, if they must, start their own chapter? Not chapter.
Yes, they can. I mean,
Oh,
we
wow.
would welcome people to go onto EWGA.com. And we've got a section called Find a Chapter near you. And you can click on that, and it shows the map of the United States and where we are located. And we're in most major cities. And, to get a step, if we're not in a city where you're located, because we find that most women, you're all busy and they want to drive like 20, 25 minutes to get someplace or less. They're not going to drive an hour and a half unless it's for a special occasion. And if you want to get a group together, we can get you started. We'd love to get you started. Next year is our 20th year anniversary, and it's time to celebrate and recognize the accomplishments that women have made. And, the power of our purse and what we do in the golf economy is fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and sharing this information because totally new to me, and I think it's fascinating. I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. And I just want to leave you with one thing.
Please.
It's also, golf is a great stress release. And, whether you only get one good shot around or five, it's good for you to be outside. And I like to tell everybody that golf to me has 4 Fs, and it's fitness, fresh air, friendship, and fun.